Here are 10 crazy facts about anime you probably didn't know. If you knew all these facts before watching this video, I'll give you a cookie. On December 16th, 1997, an episode of Pokémon titled, don't hold me for saying this wrong, Den no Senshi Porygon was aired on TV Tokyo in approximately 4.6 million households across Japan. There was a scene where Pikachu used his Thunderbolt attack to stop missiles launched by an antivirus program who had mistaken Ash, his friends, and their Pokémon for viruses. Upon impact, the viewers witnessed flashing colors on their screen as a result, and I hope I don't have to tell you why that's not a good thing. Because this episode caused the hospitalization of over 600 children who had gotten epileptic seizures, and as someone who has experienced what something like that feels like at age 6, yeah, whoever thought that was a good idea deserves to be put in a room with your forger with a sign that says I gave Anya a boo-boo, because they literally caused enough seizures to break a Guinness World Record. I wish that was a joke. Till this day, Japan has dubbed the event as the Pokémon Shock, and this caused TV Tokyo and several other TV broadcasters across the globe at the time to establish guidelines and regulations to prevent this from happening again. But it shouldn't have happened in the first place. DVD sets that featured the episode were immediately recalled, and in some streaming services you will find the episode either censored or missing. This also led to the Pokemon Porygon being banned from ever being in another Pokemon episode other than as a cameo for a very long time. Proceed with caution when looking up this episode. Google may be free, but your hospital bills ain't. Naruto could have been Food Wars before Food Wars was a thing. Okay, let me explain. Kishimoto originally planned to make Naruto a manga about a boy who was training to become a chef, but the idea got dropped by his editor who wanted to make the story more interesting. Their solution? Make Naruto a ninja and give him a fox that lives inside of him. Kishimoto's reasoning for proposing the first idea was due to his love for ramen, hence the reason why it's Naruto's favorite food in the anime. Not to mention the name Naruto comes from Kagose Naruto Maki, which is the fish cake that some people put in their ramen. So yeah, him and Soma would be best friends. Or rivals. Let's make a bet right now. Who do you guys think would have been Naruto's instructor had Kishimoto gone with that chef idea? I vote Ichiraku. Definitely Ichiraku, right? You ever wondered why characters in Code Geass ate pizza like a bunch of New York turtles on mutagen? Oh, you have? Okay, I'll tell you. The anime was, and I kid you not, sponsored and funded heavily by Pizza Hut Corporation in Japan. Hence the reason why you see Pizza Hut's logo everywhere. And I mean everywhere. It's used so much that it almost looks like I'm giving them sponsorship, and they ain't even paying me. Now, they weren't supposed to use it as much as they did. They were only supposed to use it in like 3 or 4 places, but the producers and executives found it so humorous that they decided to add it everywhere they could. And boy, did they. Now, it isn't the only anime ever to be sponsored by Pizza Hut. Some like Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence were also sponsored, but none have ever used the logo as heavily as Code Geass did. In fact, it was so ubiquitous that due to trademark and licensing issues, Netflix had to remove all instances of the logo's appearance within the series before it could air on their streaming platform. Now, if you've seen this anime, just be honest, you've wanted to order pizza at least once while watching it. Damn, now I want to order pizza just after talking about that. Hey mom, I'm gonna order pizza! Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Ponyo, Princess Mononoke. What do all of these films have in common? Well, aside from the fact that I've seen them all, they're all films animated by Studio Ghibli, which is actually named after a World War Italian aircraft by the name of Caproni CA-309 Ghibli. God help me if I pronounced any of that wrong. Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli if you choose to pronounce it that way for some reason, was co-founded by Hayao Miyazaki, who decided on the name due to his love of aviation and for his goal to blow a new wind through the anime industry. And remember, this is coming from the guy who once got memed to oblivion for saying anime was a mistake. Fans can only wonder what he's trying to fix. In fact, he paid tribute to the plane's designer and pilot in his film The Wind Rises. Highly recommend. Really good film, by the way. In 2005, an article was released by a journalist from China on the topic of students owning notebooks resembling the same one used by this genocidal, self-preserving, privileged kamidari with a Joker complex in the series Death Note. Which reminds me, say his last name backwards. Come on, just say it. Say his last name backwards. I promise you it's not a prank. The article was in Chinese, but a translated version went into detail about middle schoolers writing down the names of students and teachers that they had beef with. The article also goes into the initial packaging of the notebook and describes things such as the skull logo on the first page and the rules and instructions on the pages after. Yeah, you can see where they're going with this. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if I ever had an unknown enemy who I found out wrote something like constipation next to my name in a book with this title, I'm begging for a transfer. On top of that, this reporter also explains how they would hear students enthusiastically discussing the best ways to unalive their enemies. I tell everybody this, kids always find ways to be menaces, and their reason was a book. The journalist also discovered that the Death Note impacted academic performance because students would spend more time in their villain arc than they would spend studying. All of this led to school officials banning Death Note in order to preserve the physical and mental health of minors. Their words, not mine. Funny enough, China ain't the only superpower to ban Death Note. Russia did it 3 years ago, and it's been nerfed by other countries as well. Yeah, let's not raise our youth to be serial killers, okay? These are the ones that'll be taking care of us, and I'd rather not be stabbed on my deathbed just because my caretaker's first anime was Danganronpa. Without this man, we probably wouldn't have anime. Okay, we probably would eventually have it, but Osamu Tezuka is regarded as the father of anime. So you know how Americans see Walt Disney? Yeah, the Japanese see him the exact same way. In fact, it's speculated that Tezuka took inspiration from various Disney movies, one in particular being Bambi, which he is famously known for seeing 80 times. I always said Bambi had anime eyes, and now I have a reason to say it again. He began writing manga as an elementary schooler, and even continued doing so while working for a factory during World War II. His first work ever published was called Diary of Machan in 1946. However, his success would only be guaranteed after his work on Shin Takurajima, which he published the following year on Usopp's birthday. He would then go on to produce works such as Lost World, Metropolis, and Next World, and this was while bro was going through medical school in post-war Japan. And if you've seen a certain movie, you would have definitely heard of this one, because 1952's Astro Boy was one of his most notable works. Funny I say that, by the way, because remember when I said Tezuka took a lot of inspiration from Disney movies? Yeah, Astro Boy's hair is based off of Mickey's ears when he's looking sideways. The more you know. Basically, if it weren't for these two guys, we might have Dragon Ball, but it wouldn't be Dragon Ball. If you catch my drift. One thing I noticed after watching Akira is that there were enough colors in one scene to make a visual artist's day. In fact, it was said that the animators used exactly 327 shades of colors throughout the animation process, and out of that, about 50 of them were unique to the film alone. Producers really said, nah, this don't have enough color, you better make some new ones. Okay, I'm kidding, guys, I'm kidding. They didn't say that. At least I hope not. On top of that, it was said that the team that worked on Akira used enough shaders and shots to make 3 movies, which may seem like too much until you find out that each volume of Akira's manga series has 400 pages. That's longer than most textbooks, and there are 6 volumes. And you can obviously guess that some elements of the manga story was in fact skipped, changed, or heavily censored before it could be made into an anime adaptation. Meaning if the team that worked on Akira used the whole story without changing anything, that would have been a massive amount of colors, but that also would have been a very gruesome movie. And remember, this was the late 80s. They didn't hold anything back when it came to anime, or anything media related. The movie was already 2 hours long, so you can imagine the animators and producers being used to the smell of coffee and pencil shavings by the time it got released. While working at an internet cafe, Attack on Titan creator Hajime Isayama encountered a drunk customer while on shift. 2 of the things he noticed about this customer were the abnormal ways they were moving and their inability to communicate properly. This experience would go to be Isayama's inspiration for the behavioral patterns of Titans in his story. Add cursed faces and the mother of all growth spurts and you get something that looks straight out of a Junji Ito manga. You bricks if a big, strong, naked man started chasing on Dahmer timing. Isayama made his point. The scariest thing on earth is the one you see in the mirror. You'll never guess what the highest grossing anime film is. It's a very difficult question. What's the highest grossing anime film? I guarantee you'll never guess it. The 2020 Demon Slayer Mugen Train movie is currently the highest grossing anime film of all time. With a box office of $507.1 million, it surpasses Your Name and Spirited Away. All 3 are good movies, by the way. I highly recommend watching them if you haven't. And for our final fact of the day, the longest running anime in the world currently is Sazae-San, or Sazae-San. I hope I'm saying that right. No, it's not One Piece. When it comes to manga, this one's a baby boomer. The manga was written by Machiko Hasegawa and featured 68 volumes with a runtime from 1946 to 1974. The anime itself has 2,640 episodes, and if you divide that into segments, that's about 8,540 at least. And I know what you're thinking. Damn, how long would it take to binge that? Well, assuming that each episode has an average runtime of 24 minutes, which is the accepted standard, and this is without commercials, we're looking at 44 days. And yes, this is without bathroom breaks and sleep. Hold on, you don't have to get a calculator. I did the math for you. Look right above me. You're welcome. You could binge the entirety of One Piece twice and still finish in less time. And yes, I did include movies. Yes, I did include specials. Yes, I did include shorts, OVAs, and all 1,090 plus episodes that are currently out. If you start binging now, you might finish in April. Also, just a heads up, I had to do a lot of math for the One Piece one. Like, do you realize how many OVAs and specials they have? Yeah, this is the part where you like the video. Or heart, depending on what platform you're on. Now subscribe and follow. Thank you. But all seriousness, this is gonna be the end of the video. Once again, like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube, heart, and follow if you're on TikTok. Originally, this was going to be 5 facts about anime, but I wanted to show my appreciation for reaching 500 before 2024. Thank you guys, by the way. You have no idea how happy I am. And obviously, I felt that the video was taking too long to publish. Also, I still owe you guys a Kaido video, so that's coming soon. Just a heads up, I will be making some big changes to the channel soon, and while I will cover it all in a video, I highly recommend checking the community on my YouTube channel when you can. Make sure to turn on the bell notification so you never miss when I post a video or anything on the community. For you TikTokers, you can either wait for the video or follow this link to my YouTube community. Real life ain't that bad now, is it? Well, except for the Death Note one.